Back to School Week continues here on Fox and Friends as we take a closer look at the state of American colleges all across the country. Here to discuss, we've got campus reform correspondent Cassie Dillon, screen left, Turning Point USA chapter president at Bowling Green State, Julia Desrosiers, Young America Foundation correspondent, Grant Strobel, and Fox News contributor and campus reform editor-in-chief, Lawrence Jones. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
All right, Cassie, let's start with you. You were at Pepperdine, which is where my wife went to college, a beautiful school. How would you describe the state of America's colleges today?
So I actually did my undergrad at Mount Holyoke College in Massachusetts, which is completely different than Pepperdine. Pepperdine seems to be more kinder to conservatives compared to Mount Holyoke. And I'd have to say it's tense. You know, these colleges are completely run by leftist professors, academics, different people who are really pushing this leftist ideology. But with the Leadership Institute's campus reform, it's really great because I know that there's other conservatives on campus, and we expose this liberal bias and really make it known.
It sounds like you feel surrounded.
Absolutely. I called myself the lone conservative at Mount Holyoke, and it's true, I really was. I was one of the only ones that would be open about my ideology. And at Pepperdine, I picked it mainly because of the conservative diversity and intellectual diversity. Okay,
Julia, do you have the same problems at your school?
For the most part, you definitely find yourself being a lone conservative at times, but with Turning Point, you find a lot of friends and people who share the similar ideology as you, which can make it more comforting when you are going to debate people on campus.
Grant, you're at the University of Chicago.
Yes.
What's that like?
Well, the University of Chicago fortunately values free speech. What a thought. But my undergrad at the University of Michigan, not so much. They canceled a screening of American Sniper, and we were able to bring that back. But across the country, at Young Americans for Freedom, we see, for example, just recently at the University of Kentucky, administrators were blocking students from starting a chapter and were purposefully mocking them throughout the entire process.
Why did they block them?
They blocked them because they were conservatives. Because
there's got to be another reason for that than that.
Sadly, there isn't. If you go through the FOIA records, the administrators were literally mocking the Sharon Statement, the founding document of Young Americans for Freedom, and viewing it as outmoded and uninclusive.
Lawrence, you've been covering this for years.
Yeah.
This is nothing new to you.
Nothing new. We cover it all the time at the Leadership Institute's campus reform. When I think about conservatives showing up to campus right now, these are freshmen. I think about the University of Texas.
Right.
They're doxing students that want to join conservative clubs. Right now, the University of Texas has asked the Attorney General to get involved. But this is every day. This is the life of a conservative. On these campuses, it's a cesspool for liberal indoctrination. And we're talking about Democrat socialism right now. And we wonder why the national agenda is being set. It's being set on the college campuses. And now you see candidates doing the same.
Well, you're referring to the University of Texas. There was a tweet out that threatened to dox students. It reads, "Hey, UT 23, University of Texas class of 23, do you want to be famous? If you join YCT or Turning Point USA, you just might be. Your name and more could end up on an article like one of these, so be sure to make smart choices at UT orientation." Cassie,
what a welcome.
Yeah, no kidding. Cassie, that's scary.
That's threatening. They're trying to suppress your voice. And this is something we see on campuses a lot. People really feel like they can't speak up. And it happens in the classroom, too, which is probably the most problematic.
Julia, wouldn't it be easier just not to speak up?
No, because then no one would ever have their views challenged. No one would be thinking, and everybody would just be following a simple viewpoint.
Yeah, but Grant, it's hard.
It is hard, but the number one piece of advice I always give students entering their first year at any university across the country is be proud to be a conservative. Stand up, because you are in the most powerful position as a young person on our college campuses. No one in Washington can change the culture quite like our young people can.
Lawrence, let me ask you this. As you know, there are families all across America about to send their kids to college. What should they be prepared for?
Well, they should be prepared for indoctrination to their kids, and they should be prepared for their students to get pushback. I always tell parents to go on campus reform and find out all the stories of because these are the same professors. If you type the professor in on our website, you'll see what you're going to experience when you get there. And so parents should be prepared for their kids to come. I'm not saying coddle them, but they should stand up since they're making the paychecks to these universities.
You make it sound, Lawrence, like, for parents, be prepared for your child to be indoctrinated. You're suggesting, hey, folks, next time you see your kid, they're going to be saying stuff you've never heard before.
Yeah, the worst fear for parents is when they come back home home, they turn out to be like Bernie Sanders supporters. And the probability of that happening is highly likely. If you are a conservative, you're more likely to be silenced in the classroom, and you just don't want to start any problems.
Cassie, what do you wish you knew before college, now that you have, with the benefit of hindsight?
I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was the first in my family to go to college right after high school, so I wasn't looking at ideology or anything when I picked Mount Holyoke, and I wish I would have been prepared for that. I wish I would have known that I would be going into these classrooms and hearing things that are completely insane. But I would say for parents who are looking at colleges, make sure your kid knows what they're getting into and make sure they're ready to debate. Because I always say that I had the best education because I was constantly debating.
Interesting stuff. Great discussion today. Cassie and Julia, Grant and Lawrence, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Good luck in school.